let's think about some of our top tips to anyone who's watching or listening and is thinking, do you know what? I'm stuck in a bit of a rut myself.
Yeah.
And maybe I need to think about either change of firm, maybe I need to think about looking at my own business or looking at one of these new emerging legal models such as carbon. If you were going to give, say, 2 top tips to someone in that position, what would they be?
I think the first one would be to manage your own expectations, which is, well, think about where you want to be. It doesn't have to be linear. Routes go all over the place when you're making certainly a career in law. And then the second one is just think about all the options open to you. Some of these don't fit. For example, I think if I'd have gone to carbon or an arrangement like that when I'd been, say, 5 years qualified, it might have been a bit more of a struggle. You haven't built up maybe the reputation, you haven't built up the client base. I think it'd be tricky. So it isn't for everyone. The traditional arrangements that we've been talking about, there's a reason they've been in place for so long. Because
that's true.
On the whole, maybe they do work for some people. But I think with these emerging platforms, something to be said for having a bit more autonomy, not being reliant upon colleagues, basically other people. Just take responsibility for yourself, and that was the way I chose, really.
What about risk? We've touched upon this.
Yeah.
There's stepping away from a traditional legal career.
Yeah.
Carries risk. What's your thinking there in terms of anyone who is feeling anxious about that risk?
I think something I'm sort of struggling with a little bit is you've almost got to get used to the anxiety a little bit. Not horrible anxiety. I'm talking about a little bit of the uncertainty, because you are out of your comfort zone. You go into that. You mentioned about you got your paycheck every month, and you know what it's going to be. Well, bottom line is you don't. It could be up and down if you've had a fallow month, or you have a bumper month. But you've got to learn to be sort of comfortable with the risk and be comfortable with your decision. To think, okay, well, if I am going to do this, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be bits that you're good at. There's going to be bits that you struggle with. But ask people for help as well. Ask colleagues who've been through the same thing, or from an entrepreneurial position. It's almost a bit, compared to what you've done. This is a small move. Going just from a practice to a platform like this. It's nothing like the entrepreneurial steps you've taken, but I'm sure you had to ask for help and had to look around.
Well, definitely, and I agree with what you said there about getting familiar with the constant risk which exists. And what I always say to people who ask me this question is stepping out on your own into your own business. There are some risks which will not go away.
Yeah.
They will always be there.
Yeah.
But ignoring them and accepting a rut or moving into your own business and pretending those risks aren't there is not the best strategy.
No.
In my opinion, what you do is you must focus upon mitigating that risk. You must keep looking at it. And what happens is, it doesn't mean the risk gets less.
But you live with it.
You get braver.
Yeah.
And once you get braver, that's when you're in a position to sort of attack the problem, to plan to avoid it, to challenge it, rather than accepting a rut, because I think that's where the biggest risk is.